Her mother, in hushed tones, warned her about the dangers of the sun. Adama, her mother would say, if you ever step into the sunlight, you melt away like sugar in hot tea. As a child, once upon a time, in a village embraced by rolling hills and sun-kissed fields, there lived a woman named Adama. From the moment of her birth, her mother knew she was different. Adama was born with a unique condition. Her body seemed to be made of a substance that couldn't withstand the scorching African sun. She was a very fat woman who was made of oil. As a child, Adama's mother sheltered her from the daylight, warning her that exposure to the sun would cause her to melt away. Adama, plump and full of life, spent her days in the cool shade of their humble home, yearning to experience the warmth of the sun on her face. Her mother, in hushed tones, warned her about the dangers of the sun. Adama, her mother would say, if you ever step into the sunlight, you melt away like sugar in hot tea. As a child, Adama was confined indoors, away from the sun's warm embrace. Her mother, a wise woman with a secret knowledge, feared that exposure to sunlight would bring an unfortunate fate upon her daughter. Adama's plump cheeks and infectious laughter brightened the village. Her mother, who cherished her daughter deeply, enforced strict rules to protect her from the dangerous sun. Adama grew up sheltered from its golden embrace, yearning for the freedom that lay just beyond her doorstep. She was very beautiful and charming, and many young men seek permission from her parents to marry their daughter. They offered dowry, but the mother always refused, as she said it was impossible for her daughter to work on a farm, as she would melt in the sun. Adama's mother became determined to secure a prosperous future for her daughter. Rejecting offers from potential suitors who couldn't promise a life of comfort, she insisted that only a wealthy man could provide the protection Adama needed from the sun's cruel touch and the toil of hard labor. Despite her mother's cautionary tales, Adama's curiosity grew, and one day, unable to resist the attraction of the sunlit world beyond, she ventured out. As she stepped into the sunlight, a strange event unfolded. Adama's flesh began to soften and melt like ice under a blazing sun. Panic surged through her as she struggled to return to the safety of the shade. Her mother, heartbroken and desperate, rushed to Adama's aid, but it was too late. The once vibrant woman had melted away, leaving only a small, chubby toe which was leading under her clothes behind. In an act of desperation, Adama's mother, a loyal and compassionate woman, placed the remaining piece of her daughter in a large pot and added water, hoping for a miracle. In a month's time, Adama became a full-grown woman. News of Adama's strange fate spread through the village like wildfire. Whispers of her peculiar condition reached the ears of a wealthy man named Chok. From a far distant country, fell in love with the fat woman. Intrigued by the tale, Chok sought Adama's hand in marriage, mesmerized by the promise of a hefty dowry and tales of her captivating beauty. And he promised if her mother would hand her to him that he would keep her in the shade. At last the mother agreed. The day of Adama's wedding dawned, and the village rejoiced in the union, unaware of the shadow that loomed over the celebration. His grand promises and opulent gifts convinced her mother that Adama would finally find the happiness she deserved, and he took his wife away. Little did they know that Chijioke already had a wife, Nkechi, the woman known for her beauty but infamous for her jealousy. When he arrived at his house, his other wife, Nkechi, immediately became very jealous. Consumed by envy, plotted to rid herself of the rival who threatened her position as Chijioke's sole wife. She became more jealous because whenever there was work to be done, cooking, firewood to be collected, or water to fetch, Adama stayed at home and never helped, as she was frightened of the heat. As the two wives lived in the same compound, tensions began to rise. Nkechi, consumed by jealousy, sought to make Adama's life unbearable. She concocted schemes, spreading rumors and lies to turn the villagers against the unsuspecting Adama. One fateful day, when their husband was away, the jealous wife abused Adama so much that she finally agreed to go and fetch water from the village well. Although her little sister, whom she had brought from home with her, pleaded with her not to go, reminding her that their mother had always told them ever since they were born that she would not away if she went into the sun. She asked to go on Adama's behalf, but she refused. All the way to the well, Adama managed to keep in the shade, and when they arrived at the well, the sun was very hot, so Adama remained in the shade of a big tree while her sister fetched the water. When the jealous wife saw this, she again began abusing her and asked her why she wasn't fetching the water herself. She asked Adama to come and fetch the firewood with her since her sister was fetching the water. At last she could not stand the nagging any longer. Although her little sister tried very hard to prevent her, Adama went out into the sun to walk. The moment her skin felt the sunlight, a remarkable transformation began. She started to melt away. Terrified and bewildered, Adama rushed back to the shade, but the damage was done. Her once plump form had reduced to a mere puddle. Nkechi, triumphantly watching from a distance, thought she had won. There was very soon nothing left of her but one big finger, which had been covered by a leaf. This her little sister observed, and with tears in her eyes she picked up the finger, which was all that remained of Adama, and having covered it carefully with leaves, placed it in the bottom of her pot. When she arrived at the house, the little sister placed the finger in a big earthen pot, filled it with water and with tears streaming down her face. When their husband returned home, he was greeted by the shocking sight of his knotted fat wife by Adama's little sister. Crying bitterly, she told him that the jealous woman made her go out into the sun and that she had melted away. She then showed him the pot with the remains of her sister and told him that her sister would come to life again in 2 months' time quite complete, but he must send away the jealous wife so that there should be no more trouble. If he refused to do this, she would take the pot with her sister's finger back to their mother, and when her sister became complete again, they would remain at home. The village, having learned of Nkechi's deceit, shunned her for her cruelty. The husband then took the jealous wife, Nkechi, back to her parents, who sold her as a slave and paid the dowry back to her husband, Chijioke, so that he could get another wife. When he received the money, the husband took it home and kept it until the 2 months had elapsed. As the days passed, the miraculous event unfolded. The water in the pot began to bubble, and from it emerged the fully formed and rejuvenated Adama, quite as fat and beautiful as she had been before. The village marveled at the miracle, and Adama's tale became a lesson of resilience and the consequences of envy. The husband was so excited that he gave a feast to all his friends and neighbors and told them the whole story of the bad behavior of his jealous wife. The moral lesson of this story is that envy and deceit may seem triumphant for a moment, but in the end, kindness and truth prevail, bringing restoration and justice to those who have faced adversity. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more cultural tales from the heart of Africa. Thank you for watching.